Hello, everybody, and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. This is your Game Week 16 review show. We'll be reviewing, most of the games from Game Week 16 anyway. 5 of them happened this weekend, other than one that was postponed. As ever, got a great panel to go through it all. I am your host, Sam Biccarino, and alongside me, the man that I often describe as the encyclopedia of women's football, Mr. Tom Maher. How are we feeling today?
Oh, that's very flattering, Sam. Thank you. Yeah, I'm good. Really good. How are you?
Yeah, I thought you might be good after a Courtney Brosnan clean sheet. Getting you a few points in fantasy.
Thank you, Courtney.
I assume she listens, so she'll understand that. Alongside myself and Tom is someone that's making me out to be the outsider today, is the only non-Irish person on the pod, but making her debut on Decoding the WSL. It's the wonderful Ali Flan. Welcome to the pod.
Woo! Yeah, very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you on as well. As I didn't realise as well, a long-time listener as well.
Yeah, it's quite sad. I listen religiously every single week. I think I get the majority of my news from here, I'm not going to lie. So thanks for that, guys.
Good to hear. A sort of regular listener coming on. Hopefully you'll seamlessly fit in, you'll know.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah, like I said, we've got, only 5 games to talk about this week because Brighton against Arsenal was postponed not long before kickoff. I think it was only about a couple of hours. So we've only got 5 games to speak about this week. We could probably talk quite a lot about that game, but we won't bore you too much because I'm sure there's plenty of other people with plenty of discourse elsewhere talking about that. And we just want to talk about the football that did happen. So this week's game started on Friday evening when Man City put 6 past Leicester. But anything you can do, I can do better. It was Signa sealed delivered for Spurs as they put 7 past Villa. Chelsea were playing with a swagger as a goal and an assist from Lauren James helped them to a 2-0 win. And Man United came from behind to maintain their 100% winning record against London City Lionesses. And finally, a 3rd win in a row for Everton at the hands of West Ham. But we're going to start with Friday's game at the Joy Stadium. This one, Man City 6, Leicester 0. Bunny Shaw opening the scoring before Viv Miedemar got 2 and Hasegawa also got on the score sheet before half-time. Then an early second-half goal from Carolyn and another from Alberto just after the hour made it a comfortable win for the champions-elect, and it was quite a domination from Man City in this one. They had 70% of the possession. They completed 600 passes to just 227 for Leicester, so almost triple. Had more than 4 times as many shots, 31-7. Triple the XG, which was, I didn't quite realise, because it was 4 goals to Man City in the first half from just 1.9 XG, and then 2 in the second half from 2.7. So Leicester in the second half actually did quite well in terms of keeping City out. But yeah, it was an absolute domination. City's scored 75% of Leicester's league goal tally this season in this one game to show just the sort of separation between these two teams. And Ali, it's just the City train just steams on.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, like you said there, I think Leicester have scored, 8 goals all season, and City come and they nearly scored that in one game. So it's ridiculous. Yeah, they're all just in incredible form. Watching them play is just, it's magical, isn't it?
Yeah, despite the fact I'm an Arsenal fan, it is still quite enjoyable to watch the Man City game. Just if you try and be neutral for a minute and just sort of watch it from enjoying the football, enjoying the flowing football. They play such attractive in such an attractive way, and it's such a purist enjoying the flowing moves and stuff like that. Tom, let's talk a little bit about Leicester, because they were already bottom before today. They've now got the worst goal difference on the league and on a league high 4 losses in a row. If they finish last, which, they may not, but they may do you think they would actually win against the 3rd place team, the WSL2? It's currently Bristol City, and historically we've seen through cup competitions and things like that, the WSL teams, no matter where they are in the league, seem to comfortably beat the WSL2 teams, or Championship as it used to be. But is that still going to be the case with Leicester? Because the WSL2 is looking stronger than it ever has, and Leicester are struggling to score.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question, because I do think that Leicester have a lot of talent, and this game as well, they create a few chances. I know they've conceded 6, but they're not the first team to concede 6 to City this season, and they probably won't be the last, really. Chelsea even conceded 5 to them. So I don't think this is that representative of Leicester's season. I know a few Leicester fans, Charlie Parks, friend of the show, and she is terrified that they're going to get Crystal Palace in the relegation playoff, because Palace obviously beat them last season in the WSL, and then in the final game of the League Cup group stage this year, they only needed to not lose 3-0 to Crystal Palace at home, and they lost 3-0 to Crystal Palace at home. So I think that if they're playing Crystal Palace, I wouldn't have too much confidence in them. I feel like against anyone else, I might have a little bit of confidence in them because, like I said, I think Rick Passmore's got them well drilled and they've got a lot of talent there. I think it really depends on who it's going to be. And I think Crystal Palace were beating Birmingham last I checked. They might not still be Monday night game. So you'll know more about that than us, listener. But Crystal Palace look like they're on a bit of a tear at the moment. But it's hard to say, really. It's hard to say. I think I'd back Leicester against anyone but Crystal Palace, to be honest, I think.
Yeah, when I said that it was Bristol at the moment, that was before... Well, that was actually last night when I wrote that. Crystal Palace, as we speak, are actually 3-0 up against Birmingham City.
Yeah, I saw Abby Larkin scored. She's Irish, so Tom will be very happy with that.
Yes. It's all coming up roses for us tonight, Ali.
I've wore green as well. I'm sort of accidentally fitting it.
You're too good, thank you.
Elise Hughes and Annabelle Blanchard got the other two, but with 5 minutes to go, Crystal Palace are currently 3-0 up against away at Birmingham, which puts them into third place. So could well be scary times. Charlie, please do keep listening, even if you are scared of what's to come, because we'll move on now to the other goal fest that happened this week. This one a bit more two-sided. Villa 3, Spurs 7 on Sunday afternoon. Normally when we go through this, I sort of write a little what happened for each game, and after it this time I've just put what didn't, because there were 10 goals in this game from 8 different scorers. 2 goal scorers for Villa, a first WSL goal for Orion Jean-Francois, and then a double from Kirsty Hansen. Then there were 6 goal scorers for Spurs, 2 for Tamberg off the bench, plus 1 each for Gaupta, England, Holt, Hamano and Blackstad. Yeah, what a game this was. 4 Spurs players registering a goal and an assist. Kirsty Hansen also got 2 goal involvements for Villa as well. Spurs have now scored more goals than Villa this season, which we couldn't have said before this game, which you would think would have already been the case so far, but nevertheless, no. It wasn't a good defensive performance this game from either side. There were 10 goals, like we've said, but there was only 3.6 XG in the game. 6.5 XG on target, which means that generally the players were quite clinical with their shots, getting a lot on target, but even so, 3.5 goals more than the XG on target shows that the keepers did not have a good game, and probably unsurprising to see that neither of these keepers featured in our team of the week. 5 of the Spurs goals in this game had an expected goals on target of 0.4 or more, which shows that they are not just pumping the goal with loads of shots, but they are creating really good goal scoring opportunities, which I think is something that Martin Ho will be really happy about. And Ali, Spurs are now, they're sort of just about in that 2nd to 5th pack. They're only 4 points off Chelsea in 3rd place, but they've got 6 league games left. They don't play any of the bottom 4 in those league games. It's just, sort of some of the others within that pack. And then I think they've got LCL and I want to say Brighton as well. Do you think they can still hope to get Champions League football this year, or do you think that's probably over now?
Yeah, you know what? If I was a Chelsea fan, I would be quite nervous with Spurs. I think they are kind of catching up on them. And as you said, they don't have any of the kind of the bigger names to play against coming to the end of the season. Like they just had such a dominant win there. They have the kind of confidence going off the back of that, and Martin Ho and everybody was delighted after the game. So look, I think if they keep going the way that they are going, I think they'll really trouble Chelsea, and there could be a huge shake-up that way.
Yeah, they're obviously equal on points with Arsenal as well. Arsenal do have 2 games in hand, which is the Leicester game and then Brighton away that was postponed this weekend. We don't at the moment know when the second game of that is going to be. So yeah, who knows? Because I mean, Arsenal, you would expect are going to beat Leicester in that sort of double game week they've got coming up, but they've already got quite a packed schedule with Champions League. And do you think those 2 games are going to be plain sailing for Arsenal? Or do you think this sort of packed schedule is going to make it a bit harder?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because with the Asian Cup as well, we'll be losing like Catley, Ford, Cooney Cross as well. It depends when the games are played, but like we'll be a few players down, and on top of that, we'll have the fatigue of a really tight schedule. So I wouldn't be as confident as I would have been if we didn't have those games to play. But look, like, it's Leicester. On paper, we should beat them. Brighton, I don't think that'll be too easy. But as long as we just don't lose, we should be fine.
Yeah, like the Brighton result last season was 4-2 to Brighton away when it was sort of getting to that end of season. So hopefully for an Arsenal sake, it won't be that. But obviously we're on the Spurs section at the moment, so we should probably put more of a Spurs angle on it. It could well be for them that they're going to have an opportunity to push through and maybe finish fourth, if not third. It could still happen. Tom, Villa they're still 7 points clear of the relegation zone, but they've got 6 to play. So you'd think they would be safe there, but they've lost their last 4 and they've got a visit from Manchester City next. There's been some murmurings around in the media about how safe Natalia Arroyo is in her job. Basically, would you be willing to keep her in now if you were the sort of upper people at Villa, or would you not? And if you would keep her in now, would you still keep her moving into next season?
Yeah, I definitely would keep her certainly for now. I think she's a really exciting manager. I think with Villa, it's hard to say because I think they do sometimes have these kind of runs of form, like at the end of last season, or just before those 5 games in a row that they won, they looked like they were going down, and just out of nowhere, it felt like they suddenly became the form team in the division after being the off-form team in the division. And I'm afraid to say that they are the off-form team in the division really now at the moment. You know, they've got, I think they've lost 4 of their 5 WSL games in 2026. And, you know, if you look back at their last 16 games of matches of 2025, they also lost 4 games. So, you know, it's been a really bad start to the new year. And I think it's difficult because conceding 7 is just going to it's just going to be really difficult for them to pick themselves up. But luckily they do have a month or so until that City game. Obviously, of course, they have City next, but you know, they've got a month or so to kind of get things together. They're not in the FA Cup anymore, so they've also got this week coming to work on things in training ground. I think that's going to really help them, to be honest. And then they'll obviously have a lot of players going off on international duty. I think it's interesting when you're looking at this game because I do think that the goalkeepers didn't have a great game at all, like you said. I mean, Villa actually had 4 big chances to Spurs' 3. So, you know, they're not having any issues going forward. It's just that in their defense was absolutely, it was awful, this game. And it strikes me as something that's like quite un-Villa-like. When you see the heads going down, like when they, you know, lose the ball or make a bad pass, and just some of the defending, I think maybe in particular picking out Olivia Holt's goal when she gets to when she kind of takes a shot and Wilms blocks it and then she rounds Wilms, and it's just, she's got way too much time to pick what she's going to do there. And I don't know what exactly that is, whether it's like lack of faith maybe in the goalkeeper or what is going on there, because not specifically to Ellie Roebuck, just because they've had so much turnover and, you know, it's been a difficult period for them. I think it's going to be really helpful for them to have Lucia Kendall back. She came off the bench in this game. She helped set up, I think, their 3rd goal as well. So that is a positive, because I think since she's been out of the team, they've really struggled. And she's really come out of seemingly nowhere this year to be, one of the players of the season, definitely one of the young players of the season. So, yeah, I think in answer to your question, in a very long-winded way, I would say that I'd keep her definitely until the end of the season, because I can't see Leicester getting 8 points or 9 points. I don't think, I'm sorry to say. And so I think they'll be safe from relegation. And she's shown enough in her career in the past and what she can do with Aston Villa as well, that she can bring these teams in this kind of situation. Like when she was Real Sociedad manager, she got them to the Spanish Cup final. They finished 2nd in Liga FA. So, you know, she's definitely got that pedigree. And I think it would be a shame to lose that now. So I would keep her until the end of the season. Probably if they haven't won by the end of the season, then I think maybe I'd be like, Natalia, listen, you know, what's going on here? but I think I'd be inclined to keep her again for the next season, to be honest. I just really like her as a manager. I think she's shown that she can get those big results. That draw against Arsenal, the win against United as well, are results that teams who are doing kind of what they want to be doing, like Tottenham, aren't, like in that United game, for example, they weren't able to convert that to a win, whereas like Villa obviously were able to do that. So yeah, they've definitely got a lot of potential in the side, but it's concerning times, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, I was just looking at while you were talking there about the last win that they had. So that was the first game of 2025 against Brighton at home. They won with 0.5 xG and managed to score 2 goals. And that was also the last game that Lucia Kendall played for Villa. So they've had 5 games since, and this one against Spurs was the first one she's played in, and that was 18 minutes at the end of the game. So yeah, maybe her coming back will be a bit of a kickstart for them to get back on track. Let's move to Chelsea 2, Liverpool 0. Lauren James assisted Newskin's opener before the break, before scoring a goal of her own just after the hour mark. Bergstrom came off at half-time with a potential knee injury in this game as well, which I think for any fantasy players out there, I think quite a few of us have Bergstrom, so that is not quite good news for us. Thankfully, she's got quite a while to recover for the next game week. Some stats in this game. Chelsea had 1.5 xG, just 0.5 for Liverpool, so 2-0 sounds about right, and it was a similar story with expected goals on target as well. So stats-wise, quite unremarkable. Given the result, it sort of seems about right. There's nothing really underlying to sort of come out and say, oh, this is a bit strange. Tom, I want to ask you about sort of the start of the Paul Greenless era for Chelsea. He's obviously been there for so long, and well, the news broke while we were recording last week. So we've had a bit of time to digest now. What are you thinking about it?
Yeah, it is interesting. I think obviously it's a really good result for Chelsea to get this win. I think it's quite important for them because I think maybe Chelsea underestimated how like personally hurt people would be in the club about letting Paul Green go. We've seen like a lot of players come out and say how much they appreciated him, and the crowd in the 13th minute applauded Paul Green for his service for the club. That's a real show of like respect for the 13 years that he was at Chelsea. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people who aren't too pleased about the situation as far as fans are concerned at the moment. I think it was interesting in the post-match press conference to this one. Sonia Bonpastor was asked about Paul Green and whether his exact position of head of women's football would be replaced or rehired for, and Bonpastor said no. She said that they've had a lot of conversations with CEO Aki Mandar, with the sporting directors Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, and that she thinks that they're on board with what they want to do with the future of Chelsea, and praised them for the support that she's got from them. She also said some really nice things about Paul Green, and that she was asked about that, the applause, and she said that she was really happy that it happened because the club is in a position that they are in a large part because of him. So I do think there's a lot of respect between Bonpastor and Green from what I can tell. But yeah, it was a good start to the Paul Greenless era, 2-0 win. And it was almost, Liverpool started this game really well. Alice Bergstrom actually had the ball in the back of the net, but was penalised for a yellow card. For a handball. So, it could have gone a different way, but Chelsea, once they did get their heads in front, they never really looked back. And Lauren James, wow, was just outstanding.
Lauren James was unbelievable. Oh my goodness. But I have to say, I was a little bit disappointed for Liverpool. I don't know. I think that the handball kind of knocked their confidence a little bit. It was a tricky one, but I mean, they drew with Chelsea earlier on this season. So I don't think anyone kind of just put it to a side and said that it was going to be a Chelsea win. I thought Liverpool would get a goal at least, but yeah, I think the whole Paul Green situation, it's there's been a lot of like talk off the pitch, and it's kind of taken eyes off the football and more kind of to social media and that sort of thing. So it's a tricky one. It's not a good look for Chelsea. I think announcing it at like 7 p.m. on a Monday, trying to kind of hide it a little bit, I guess, in the news in the evening was not great. And obviously fans are very disappointed. I think I think I read online that they were going to do a protest, but it was called off because of the weather, which is, it kind of shows how much, yeah, like they're very frustrated about it. So like when you think of Chelsea, you obviously think of Emma Hayes and Sonia, but you do think of Paul Green and everything that he's done. So when we see all of these players posting online that they'll miss him and that sort of thing, I think that's a true reflection on everything that he's done for the club. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of comes next out of Chelsea, definitely.
Yeah, I did notice one thing that, well, is coming through at Chelsea is Lexi Potter. She subbed on for Kira Walsh again, as she did last week as well. And Ali, it sort of looks like Sonia's kind of future planning this midfield, because I think Lexi Potter's one that many people, probably myself included, at some point have touted as someone that's going to be a Chelsea player, sort of a starting Chelsea player when she gets older, and probably a lioness as well. And yeah, how do you sort of see her career planning out? Because I was at the Spurs game last week and she came on for Kira Walsh, and you honestly did not notice a dip at all. She played just as well as Walsh did.
Yeah, she is incredible. I think it's so special to be able to watch her now before she kind of blows up into this future lioness star that she is going to be. So it's really nice to just see her playing with Chelsea, and I think she was on loan with Palace as well, wasn't it? So yeah, she's just been fantastic, and to have that talent and that confidence at such a young age, like replacing Kira Walsh, and you wouldn't really know that Walsh had been subbed off. Like she is that dominant in the midfield. So I think it's just really really exciting. Like she's only going to get better, and yet like she's just so young.
It does feel, I mean, as someone that's now into his 30s, it does feel like one of those when you see someone that young and you're like, and you see when they're born and something like that as well, and you're like, oh, it really does put it into perspective that I'm not the same age as these people anymore. Tom, I know you picked out on this as well, that or you mentioned this in our group chat, that Gareth Taylor mentioned that Beata Olsen was full fitness, back ready to play, but he left her on the bench and didn't bring her on at all. Which I can understand if they've maybe got other matches coming, like other league games coming up, because obviously they're in a bit of a relegation battle here. But he didn't. They haven't got a game for a month in the league, and didn't decide to bring her off the bench at all. When they've got, I suppose he's got a bit of a better choice at the moment, because he has got Olsen, he's got Martha Thomas, Mia Enderby, and they've got you signing Schillag as well. Who would you be starting here, and would you be subbing the people on a bit more? Would you be giving Olsen more pitch time at least?
Yeah, because I asked him about this because I just presumed that she wasn't fully fit, and that was kind of why she wasn't starting, because she was so on form before she came, before she took that injury at the start of January. And yeah, he said that basically it's competition in the squad and they have a lot of good players in that position, and that that she was fit to start and could play 90 minutes. It's just that they're electing not to start her at the moment. So, yeah, I was surprised, to be honest. But I like Martha Thomas. I thought she did a good job. I think she's like quite a nuisance up front against Chelsea. She's like putting herself about there, and she's also a big confidence player, and she has been scoring a few goals since she started at Liverpool. So I kind of, it's not like I'd 100% start Olsen, but I was surprised given how Olsen was basically scoring against everyone she played. She was finding the back of the net at one point this season. So yeah, that did surprise me. But he's right. They do have a great competition up front, and that's something they absolutely did not have earlier this season, where it was like it felt like if Olsen wasn't on the pitch, they weren't going to score a goal. But now there is competition there, and I would still be starting Olsen, but maybe Martha Thomas gives you something against Chelsea in terms of her hold-up play that, and it almost did work. Like they started well, so yeah, I'm hesitant to be too critical of that decision.
Yeah, I didn't realize that that she was back. I just also presumed that she was injured because she's one of their best players. So why wouldn't he start her against Chelsea? But I think that's a really good thing for him to say, that there is competition in the squad, because this time a few months ago they were really heavily reliant on her. So it just shows how strong Liverpool are getting. It's brilliant.
At the start of the season, they didn't even have Olsen. It was just they just had a load of players that couldn't score. And they ended up at a point where I can't remember when it was exactly, but I remember one week when Liverpool were bottom of the league and I was captaining their striker, that's the form that she was in at that moment.
Triple captaining their striker.
Triple captain. I think it was just a regular captain.
I did triple captain her when she was yeah.
Yeah, you very rarely see that. I did not triple captain Ali Larkin at any point last season. So that's the sort of levels that they're going to at the bottom of the league. Let's move on to Manchester United 2, London City Lionesses 1. Millie Turner getting her first start since the reverse fixture in September. Former Red Devil Nikita Paris opened the scoring in the first 5 minutes, but then Millie Turner really turned up. She assisted Jess Park's equaliser before scoring the winner herself 10 minutes from time. The winner, a rare centre-back to centre-back, with Maher Letitia providing the assist for Millie Turner's goal. And Man United, I don't think were particularly good value for this. They were the only team to win, or they are the only team to win their last 4 WSL games, though. So Ali, I guess they're sort of pushing through, even if it's a sign of a good team when they don't play that well and still win. They've got the best form in the league. Like I said, they've got 13 points in their last 5 and a +8 goal difference, which no one else can match. But yeah, did you think they were a bit lucky today? Because I certainly did.
Yeah, I think they got very lucky. To be honest with you, I thought it was going to end in a draw, so I was really I was happy for United when Millie Turner got that goal. I think she was the last person on the pitch that any of us kind of thought would score a header, but it was fantastic. But yeah, look, they're in fantastic form. They're doing really, really well. They looked a little bit shaky against London City. Maybe it's fatigue, I don't know, but I think, like, when you look at the stats and the kind of stuff that's happening off the pitch, like, they're just phenomenal this season, and I think they're one of the most exciting teams to watch.
They're going well in Europe as well, which I think is so important for the club, and obviously, like, for the not the mentality, but the morale. That's what I'm looking for. They've added depth in the winter with people like Leah Schuler coming in and Vangerheim, and yeah, it's just going well. Not quite Man City levels of well, but it's going pretty well for them. You put a case to say that other than Man City, even maybe depending on how it goes in the Champions League, maybe including Man City, they might be the most successful English team this season, because I think at the moment, I'd probably assume that they're going to finish ahead of Chelsea and Arsenal this season. I don't know if they will, but if I had to put money on one of the teams, I'd probably go Man United. Tom, on the other hand, with London City Lionesses, 4 points from Mesh's first 5 games. He has played the 2 Manchester clubs, but the other 3 games were all against bottom half teams, and yeah, only picking up 1 win and 1 draw from those. Do you think they're underperforming, or do you think he's going to... Well, I mean, I was going to say, obviously he's going to get given time. He's only 5 games in, but this is London City Lionesses we're talking about. Are his days numbered already?
I think he's okay for now, but I also would have said the same to Jocelyn Brasher a couple of months ago, so don't take my word for it. I think that, yeah, I wouldn't be too worried, to be honest. It was oddly similar to that Manchester City game, and the fact that they were level until late in the game and then conceded. And yeah, I mean, they're competing in these games, and to be honest, they're competing a bit better than they were. Like, I covered this game in Bromley in the reverse fixture, and they were barely in it. Man United completely dominated them, and United, I know it's early in the season, but United had also had a European trip that week too, but it didn't show. And yeah, I thought they were really good in this game, and I think they'd be really, really gutted they didn't get anything out of it. They came exceptionally close a couple of times to doubling the lead as well. Godfrey, we've spoken about her on this podcast, but she's so good. She really is phenomenal. One of the best young players this season, best players in the league this season. Just looking at some of the stats, like London City had double the amount of shots that United had, double the XG that United had. But yeah, there was, that moment where Tullis Joyce accidentally passes it to Paris, and maybe Paris could do better there. I think Godwin's little flicked header late on as well probably should be hitting the target there as well. And, I think United definitely got away with one, but it's one of those where when you're in the Champions League, you kind of have to, have these kind of results, these kind of performances, because you just can't play at your best every week, or twice every week even. One thing I did think was interesting was that Kosovare Aslani didn't start, and Daniela van der Donk started kind of in her position. So I thought that was a really interesting tactical adjustment. I'd be interested to see whether that continues, or whether Aslani was carrying a knock or something like that. I think, again, Lete I don't think she should have saved either of them, but sometimes you want a goalkeeper that saves the shots she shouldn't save. Like, I don't think she made a mistake, so I'm probably being quite harsh, but was it 1.4 4-3 goals conceded or something XG wise. I've lost my data head there, but
negative goals prevented. So she should have conceded on average 0.6 goals in this game, but conceded 2.
Yes. Thank you, Sam. Thank gosh you're here. But yeah, but I'm being a bit harsh because both of those goals were very good. But yeah, I think London City. I don't think they should be too disappointed. I'd be more concerned about the fact that they couldn't beat Liverpool when Liverpool were kind of struggling. Those kind of performances would concern me more than narrow defeats to the Manchester clubs.
I think the Liverpool one was Edimesh's first game, so you can almost give him a bit of grace for that, in that he wouldn't have had that much time to, really get his feet under the table and get the team playing the way he wants them to. But I think if I was a London City fan, I'd be feeling confident about next season. They're very unlikely to get Champions League football this year. It's mathematically possible, but very unlikely. Same with getting relegated. They're going to be mid-table, and they're going to, if they can put good performances in where, they can get more XG than Man United while playing away at their place, that's a good sign of things to come. You mentioned Everton there. Let's move on to them. The final game of the weekend, they beat West Ham 1-0 at home. Hanoka Hayashi with the only goal of the game in the 8th minute, assisted by Hannah Blundell. Hayashi's goal had 0.8 XG, which was more than double the XG that West Ham created in the whole game, which I think goes some way to show just how interesting this game was. Everton actually had less possession in this game. They completed less passes, but it was the shooting that made the difference. Both teams had 7 shots, but Everton had 1.7 XG on target compared to just 0.5 for West Ham. So on another day, this could have been 2-0, 2-1, but whatever it is, Everton did deserve to win. Courtney Brosnan was our keeper in the team of the week. Kinga Shemik, technically, if you're looking at just shot stopping, did have a better game because she had 0.7 goals prevented compared to 0.5. But I think if you got 0.5 and keep a clean sheet, it was actually my suggestion that Courtney Brosnan should have it, I will say. Tom just agreed instantly, but yeah.
Here he goes again.
Ali, I want to ask you about Everton because they are on a really good run at the moment. 53% of the points they've had this season have come in the last 3 games. So less than half the points came in the first 13 they played. They're only 2 points off the top half now, when not that long ago we were talking about them maybe finishing 12th. Do you think their momentum can keep going and they'll finish in that top half, or how do you think they're going to go?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm really happy for them. I think they were looking a little bit shaky there, and obviously they had the whole managerial change and that sort of thing. So for them to have 3 wins in a row now off the back of that, I think it took everyone a bit by surprise. I don't think we expected them to be so strong after it. So yeah, look, I think if they stay the way that they are and they build that confidence up a little bit, I think they can just keep going up the table. I wouldn't be too worried about them dropping points anymore. But yeah, no, that game was just fantastic to watch. It was just a really, really good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Everton are looking. I think they're quite a likable team as someone that's not a supporter of a rival team for them. They're quite a likable team. They've got a lot of likable players. Speaking as someone that's not Irish as well, so I like I like seeing them doing well.
You really like them.
Yeah, you two love them.
Did you see as well, Imna Gabaro, since she's come back from loan at Sevilla, she's played 3 games for Everton and they've all been wins in the WSL. So if I was her, I'd be getting my contracts demands, slapping them on the table as Scott Wheeler. We said, come on.
Agent's going to be on the phone every day. Right, can we sort this yet? They've got a while to go to their next game now. So we'll see if they can keep their form going. Let's move on to, well, they're the only games because there was only 5, obviously. Brighton Arsenal being postponed due to a waterlogged pitch. So let's move on to aerial fantasy. In terms of how we did, Tom, me and you are actually on 900 points each now. They're at the time of recording, they haven't cut off the game week yet because there's no announcement of what's happening with the Arsenal Brighton game. Are they going to play it soon? Is it going to be included in this game week? We don't know at the moment. Whether it is or not, Tom, you've got 22 points to come off the bench to replace players that didn't play. So we're not going to be on the same points for too much longer, because I've only got 6 points coming off the bench. But regardless, we're both doing pretty well. Ali, how did you get on this week?
Do you know what? I actually didn't check it. Hold on, let me check. I know that I vice captained Caldente, so yeah, I'm short on her. 45 points, so not too bad. The average was 34, so above average. That's all that matters to me. Captain Shaw, 12 points from that. So yeah, it could be worse.
Yeah, I also captained Bunny Shaw.
Yeah, it was just Caldente. I thought I had more Arsenal players. That's so bad. But I had vice captained her, and she always brings in the points. So look, as long as I'm above average, that's fine. I'll settle with that.
I was umming and ahhing this week about whether to bring in Baltimore or Kim Little. They were sort of my two options. I ended up going for Baltimore, who got 1 point instead of none. So what do you do? What a result. Anyway, let's talk about the people that are doing a little better than us. The number one player in our league, I think for the third week running now, is Stanley's team Villanova, 74 points this game week, and they are still first in the world as well, which is very impressive. And they're the only person to get 1,000 points in the world at the moment. Obviously, once sort of subs happen and things like that, that may change. But for now, Stanley, take it in, put it on your CV, whatever you need to do. Talking of first in the world, the best score in game week 16 is also, like in our Decoding the WSL league, is also the best score in the world. It's Jonathan Davies, who some of you might know on X. He goes by, I think it's AOL Fantasy Jono, something along those lines. You'll be able to find him. He's very into his fantasy stuff. He's very good at it, obviously. And I don't know if he listens to the pod. He definitely follows us. Jono, if you're listening, well done. 112 points this game week. Assuming Brighton Arsenal moves to a different game week, you've got 11 points to come off the bench on top of that. There was a captain for Rebecca Knack who got visionary points, a whopping 26 points in total with that captaincy. Also 18 points for Vila Berman, 15 for Signig Outset, 14 for Lauren James, 10 for Ellie Carpenter, and then quite a few that got other returns as well. So yeah, the Decoding the WSL league is, we've got the number one player in the world at the moment. We've got the number one player in the world this week. We're doing pretty good. We must, as a collective, know our stuff.
Yeah, huge bragging rights for you guys. You need to boast about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping when Izzy was supposed to be joining us tonight. Unfortunately, she's a bit ill, but when she's back to full fitness, maybe she'll do a little like roundup. And I've already asked her to have a look at what like the average at the end of the season, what the average score is in the league, and then compare it to what the average score is worldwide. Because I'm hoping, unless we're worse, and then in which case we'll
Nobody
never
needs
speak
to know.
But, but I'm hoping.
Yeah, you'll know
better. You'll know.
You'll
That never
know
gets
it's
uttered ever again. Yeah, if we don't get any decent scores from here on out, and if Stan drops off from being number one in the world, then then we'll shut up about it. But for now, we can boast. That's all we've got time for on the review show. There's no preview show this week because obviously the next games are about 5 years away. But we will have a game of Know Your Stat, an all-Irish affair. Ireland are going to win either way, as Ali takes on Tom. I know, Ali.
Go.
When I told Ali that Izzy wasn't on tonight, rather than being like, "Oh, that's okay, that's fine," first message was, "I don't want to take Tom on a Know Your Stat."
I was really hoping you were going to cancel.
Tune in to see how that goes.
But you know your stuff though, Ali. I've seen
like
you were on another
did.
podcast where you're doing some like
Tom. I thought that I knew my stats,
really
and
well.
I kind of brag about it a little bit, and then no, I know nothing compared to you. You are an encyclopedia. It's incredible. Jesus, like it's wow. So I'm not looking forward to this at all.
It's like reverse trash talk. You're just talking each other up.
Honestly, my favourite type.
But that Know Your Stat episode will be out for you on Wednesday. So make sure you follow, subscribe, whatever you do, wherever you get your podcast, so that you see that coming. Ali, this is obviously your first appearance on the pod. So, I mean, I imagine that pretty much anyone that is listening or watching the pod that just owns Instagram or X or any account on those will know who you are. But just in case, do you want to let the listeners and viewers know where they can find you.
That is going to go straight to my head. I hope you know that. I'm going to screen record that when it comes out, just so I can get some affirmations going. But post too much on Instagram and TikTok. I think people are a bit sick of me, but look, it brings a bit of joy to people, and that's all you can ask for. So yeah, I used to think I knew a lot about football, but Tom, I think you're giving me some competition. But yeah, thanks for the plug. That's lovely.
Yeah, if you're not following already, go follow Ali Flan.
Thank you.
I was going to say wherever I was about to say wherever you get your pods. I'm so like ingrained in it. Wherever you have a social media account, Ali will be there ready to serve you with loads of good football content.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all we've got for you right now on Decoding the WSL. So if you do enjoy the episode, like I said, make sure to follow, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, all that good stuff. Give us a like, give us a 5-star review, any of those sort of things, depending on where you get your pod, because it does help the show grow. But yeah, thank you, Ali. Thank you, Tom. And we'll speak to you at the next one.
Thanks, guys.